Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show, the man who puts the pro in pro football talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Florio back here on the program. Good to see you, sir. How are you?
Back off the pay no mind list.
It's
been a while.
Say that? It's true. Why do you say that? That's so untrue.
I'm not going to name names.
Is it because he's been cozying up with Pablo?
No,
Rich? Like, come on now.
No.
Why, sure, there's no reason to name names. All I know is I see others popping up a lot more frequently than I get the bat signal. But that's fine.
No.
I'm here when you want me. I'm here when you don't want me. I am a constant presence, like a fungus that will not go away. And every once in a while, you scratch it, and you're scratching me to death.
This is not true. This is untrue. This is all of it is, it's muckraking, Mike. That's terrible.
When you are back on the mothership, will I be invited aboard?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, Mike. And when you're on the mothership, you know it's going to be a top-selling ebook. Put it up on the screen.
It's very well done.
Put it up on the screen. We've got a big shield, everybody.
Hey.
Nice. It's about the mob, gambling, and professional football, but not the NFL.
It's not the NFL.
It's not the NFL.
None of the teams depicted in Big Shield or NFL franchises.
Zero of them.
All similarities are coincidental.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I'm on ESPN, we'll have you come on and talk about playmakers. They'll love it.
Awesome.
Everybody
Wait, which
will.
playmakers? You mean the series?
That's
I had the book.
That's
the name of the book from a few years ago was
that's right.
a nod to the series.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Florio.
Let's go.
Okay, what's going on with the NFL Players Association, Mike, and why should fans care about it? I give you the floor on that.
Well, currently it's chaos, and it's the aftermath of the abrupt resignations of both Executive Director Lloyd Howell and then former NFLPA president and more recently Chief Strategy Officer J.C. Treader. And it really had been kind of a drip of news. Pablo Torre and I did some reporting. We found a collusion ruling that had been hidden for more than 5 months, and we still don't know why the NFLPA elected to hide it because it was a partial victory. One of the findings was that the NFL Management Council, with the blessing of the commissioner, urged teams to collude as it relates to guaranteed contracts following the Deshaun Watson deal of 2022. That was stuffed in a drawer for more than 5 months by the league and the union until Pablo Torre tracked it down. So there were other things too. ESPN's done some great work here with Kalen Kaler and Don Van Natta Jr., different items that just increased the pressure. I think it was an impending report from them last week about the strip club expense report misadventures with Lloyd Howell that caused him to resign. But as of right now, I don't know where they go. I don't think they know where they go. And the players who are leading the charge have training camp to focus on. This is not an ideal time to be figuring out who the interim executive director should be. But here's why fans should care. It's critical that there be balance in this relationship between the league and the players. And you don't want it to get out of balance. I think if it gets out of balance, it sets the stage for a work stoppage at some point. You know, the league can push and push and push, and at some point the players say enough, and you got 1982 or 1987 all over again. No one wants that. And if it gets out of balance the other way, then you get a lockout in 2011 where the league felt compelled to try to claw back some of the gains the players had made in the 2006 CBA talks. So you want both sides to be strong. You want there to be a healthy tension, and you want there to be balance. And right now there's a risk that based on how this goes, it's going to become grossly imbalanced between the league and the players.
So the question is once the players can actually focus on it, your opinion of what would provide the most balance, somebody who's a lawyer or somebody who's from the world of business, Mike?
And this is an interesting question for a variety of reasons.
I only ask those, Mike. You know that.
Yeah, that's true.
You know
Not
that.
to be confused with your normal boring questions. This is an interesting one. Because there's a perception that Pablo Torre and I had like a magic wand that was waved that has caused these vacancies. People think they can try to get me to like push for their preferred candidate or for them. I'm staying out of who the next executive director should be, but there are different ways to look at it. And in the past, they had kind of a bulldog in DeMaurice Smith. Lloyd Howell was the other extreme. Let's do business. I'm a businessman with no labor experience, but I know how they think. I'll be able to do our deals. You know, it would be helpful to have a former player who's got some labor relations chops and knows how to preside over collective bargaining talks. And one of the things I thought of today, I mean, if you really want to make things interesting, you think about somebody who's in the NFL right now, somebody with the league or one of the teams that maybe could be lured for the right price to switch sides and come lead the union. Wouldn't you want somebody who knows what their recipe is for making the sausage? That happens in business from time to time. I'd be thinking about, and again, I'm not naming names because I'm not here to play Game of Thrones, but man, it would be interesting to see somebody come from behind Big Shield to, not to be confused with the completely unrelated Big Shield that is the title of the book, but to leave the NFL and lead the union. That would be high drama.
Pro Football Talks, Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. While we're on the subject of drama, your take on the Jerry Jones training camp opening opus in Oxnard, Mike?
Well, I saw a screenshot today of him giving the finger, and I texted Clarence Hill, who posted it, to get some context, because you never know. Like, I cut myself. Where'd you cut yourself? Well, it just happens to be my middle finger. So I don't know why he was flashing the middle finger. But J.J. Watt noticed what he said about Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott missing games due to injury and had a very pointed tweet. Micah Parsons noticed it and reposted it. And I'm a firm believer that Micah should have held out, that because he's there, and I don't want to get too deep into the CBA weeds, a player has much more leverage if he doesn't show up than if he shows up and thinks about leaving. We'll leave it at that. That's true. So once you're there, pendulum swings to the team. And I think what they're going to do, Rich, they're going to lowball him. And whatever the last best offer is before week one, it's going to be less than it would have been if he had held out. He's going to have to ask himself, do I take this deal that is less than what I could have gotten? Or does he play for $24 million this year? It's 8 times what he made last year. Does he play for that? And do they kick the can to next year? Because the Cowboys don't act until the clock is in the process of striking 12. By him showing up, and even if he holds in and doesn't practice during training camp or the preseason, a time will come to grab your helmet and go get ready to play, like it did for Roquan Smith when he did a hold-in with the Bears a few years ago. Eventually, we're not going to get a deal done. You're here. You need to work. I think that's what's going to happen. I think right now my prediction would be no new deal for Micah Parsons unless he takes less than, no new deal, and they figure it all out next year.
Interesting. All right, that's one to put on the board and put a pin in. What do you think about the Terry McLaurin scenario here for the Commanders, Mike?
You know, when you talk to people about does Terry McLaurin need a new contract, the easy answer is yes. He's making $15 million or so this year. The market has shot north of 40. Does he land north of 30, between 30 and 35, Garrett Wilson-ish? You can make the argument, yes, but that's the problem. You got to get the two circles of the Venn diagram to kiss, and so far they haven't. And I think Terry McLaurin looks at this and says, hey, this is my last best chance to get paid. They have 2 more years with Jaden Daniels on his slotted rookie deal, which is going to be peanuts in comparison to what he's making after the 2026 season, and he's eligible for a second contract. I'll take mine now. Give me mine now. And when Deebo Samuel comes through the door making more money than the guy who's been there through the hard times and now the front end of the good times, I can understand why McLaurin is pushing for more than whatever they're offering. I know Adam Peters, the GM of the team, talked about it today. They're being hopeful. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what they're willing to pay. And beyond the average per year, because there are ways to play games with it to pump it up, the structure it's signing is critical. How many years are going to be fully guaranteed? How many years are guaranteed is a practical matter. That's never part of the initial storm of tweets when a deal gets done, but the structure is critical to how good or bad a deal really is.
And then Trey Hendrickson, I go back and forth about, am I being unfair to a Bengals franchise that did find the money for Joe Burrow, right? That did put a sponsor's name on the building to pay Joe Stadium pretty much, right? To make sure that they're keeping Burrow. They did get Higgins and Chase under long-term contracts, right? They did keep them together. They haven't lost them. I'm just wondering if I'm being unfair to think that this Hendrickson thing, along with Shamar Stewart as well, is emblematic of the Bengals haven't got it all out of their system. Mike, what do you think?
And I don't think they have. Look, they paid Joe Burrow market value because they had to. But with Jamar Chase, I think he could have held out for more. He could have squeezed them for more than what he got. Still a great deal, but I think he could have done more than what he got. T. Higgins, when you look at his deal, they took advantage of the fact that he grew up a Bengals fan and wanted to stay in Cincinnati. He, I think, would have been better off playing under the franchise tag for a second year. He would have had a guaranteed shot at free agency next year. They got lucky that those guys didn't push for every last penny. Now, Hendrickson is pushing, relatively speaking, for more. And I think he wants Max Crosby money. He's not trying to catch TJ Watt. He's not trying to catch Myles Garrett. But $35.5 million per year new money, when the guy's due to make 16, that's a huge raise. I had heard months ago that they offered him 28 in new money. Shefty reported earlier today that the structure is an issue. 1 year guaranteed, not 3 years, either straight or as a practical matter guaranteed at signing. That's a big part of it for a guy on the wrong side of 30. So they are being stubborn. And here's the thing, and I made this point a couple of months ago, and this isn't a shot at Trey Hendrickson. It's just an acknowledgement of how the Bengals are. The Bengals don't care. When Carson Palmer was done with the Bengals, they didn't care. They said, stay home. We'll gladly keep your money. He will become this year's Hassan Reddick, staying away for training camp, racking up non-waivable fines, getting into the regular season, giving up game checks unless they find a way to do a deal. But the Bengals, of all the teams out there that will become weak-kneed because of a holdout, the Bengals are the last ones to do it, because I firmly believe, Rich, and this trickles over to Shamar Stewart as well, it's not about money, it's about power. And it's about reminding the players who's in charge. And we'll do without you, Trey Hendrickson, you, Shamar Stewart, you, Carson Palmer. We'll do without if we can preserve our ability to let everybody know who's boss. I feel like that is the core of what the Bengals are all about. And if their fans are fine with it, well, okay, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Brown did call what's going on with Shamar Stewart foolishness. And he did basically say, like, why should I pay him if he's in jail? If he winds up in jail. But he wouldn't be
paying him if he's in jail. Rich, he wouldn't be paying if he's in jail. But this is here it is in a nutshell.
Yes.
They have had language in their contracts that would trigger a default of remaining guaranteed money, okay? They've had that language in there for years. They put the same language in the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins deal. Same language that they've had. Same language Amarius Mims got last year as the 18th overall pick. Same language. Now for Shamar Stewart, we want to change it. We want to change it. And this is basic negotiation. If you're going to make a unilateral change to a key term in a contract and you're going to offer me nothing to go along with it, what are we doing? You got to offer me something. And the fact that they did it, the old language with Higgins and with Chase, and now they want to jam the new language onto Stewart. This is an interesting thing to watch if they would sign Hendrickson. Does he get the old language? Does he get the prison insurance that some are now calling it, that Chase and Higgins and Mims and all the other players that have had that term in their deal gotten? Or does he get the new one crammed on him too? Again, Rich, for me, it's about power. It's about, I think, Shamar Stewart not signing the participation agreement and showing up for offseason workouts. And I think they're just trying to send a message to a guy who dared to stand up for himself, and they're not going to bend. And that's the problem. They're not giving him any opening. They're not looking for a win-win. They're just going to stand firm until he buckles.
Mike Florio here on the show. Before I give you the runway on your ebook, what are we not talking about? What's on your mind? What's in your inbox? What are we not talking about as we're set for all 32 being in camp?
There's plenty we're not talking about, and it's amazing. You know, we are in week 6 of the annual PFT Live hiatus, and people think I'm on vacation. And it's like, you know what? I've been busier the last 5.5 weeks than I have been before. So slow time, there is no slow time. I do a 45-minute podcast every day on everything that's going on. It never slows down. It really is strange to me, though, that I think all this talk of holdouts, hold-ins, I'm surprised that we've just kind of forgotten about Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Like, we all knew it was coming. It happened. And we're like, okay, this is a huge deal. I mean, the Steelers have never behaved this way before. Now they have TJ Watt happy. They have DK Metcalf. They have Jalen Ramsey. Like, this is a hell of a chemistry experiment for the Pittsburgh Steelers in a division that is loaded, in a conference that is loaded. I'm fascinated to see what the Steelers can do. And they have 3 winnable games right out of the gates. At the Jets, Seahawks at home, at the Patriots, and they go to Dublin to play the Vikings. That week 1 game, I wish we could do a week 1 flex. Not that I have a problem with Ravens-Bills on Sunday Night Football on NBC.
You got a piece
Not
of filet,
complaining
man.
about that. That's a good game.
Yes, it is.
Man, I want that Steelers-Jets game, Rich, to be standalone so we can all watch it and nothing else.
Yeah, I know CBS is ecstatic to have that. And, clearly the schedule makers were laying down a marker that they thought Rodgers was coming to put Rodgers at the Jets and have, Justin Fields be the Jets quarterback, and they basically swap quarterbacks like those old, body swap movies, right? And then you got those games at the top, and then you got the Packers and Rodgers on a Sunday night as well. You've got the visit on a Sunday night out here to Los Angeles with Jim Harbaugh. The rest of the stroll through the AFC East, the rest of his final stroll through the NFC North. I mean, it's all every game must-see television. And you talk about chemistry experiment. That's supposed to be Tomlin's forte, isn't it? I think it is. I think that's part of his special sauce, is to know how to motivate different guys based on what he knows about them. And I think Rodgers and Tomlin are going to click very well. I
absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Tomlin is that chef from the cooking show that takes a bunch of stuff that's laying around and turns it into a gourmet meal.
He's the Emerald of the NFL. Is that what you're saying?
I don't watch any of the shows, so I can't make any reference beyond that. Sorry.
He just knows there is one.
I'll take care of it for you. I'll take care of it. Yeah, he is.
What do you think of the god-awful uniforms the Steelers are going to be wearing on NBC and Peacock Week 8 against the Packers?
I haven't seen them,
those were the 1994 75th anniversary throwbacks, and I was hoping they'd be thrown out for good then. They're back 32 years later.
That one I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, not good.
So
not good.
I'll give you the...
Wear special protection for your eyes.
Nice. Big Shield. What do we have here, Mike? What do you got here?
So, and Rich, look, ever since the Supreme Court opened the floodgates for state-by-state legalized sports betting in 2018, I've had concerns that there are different ways scandals could rock professional football. And once I started into this whole fiction thing, and most of my books are not sports books, they're just mob-type books, crime somewhere at the center, I had an idea one day that I could take this concern that I have for a scandal that could seriously undermine the integrity of the sport. And anyone who's connected to the sport should be concerned about that and care about that. Let's make that come to life as kind of a cautionary tale for the players who might think there's a way to make easy money by giving people inside information, for the league to come up with effective ways to protect inside information, because I'm not sure they have effective ways to do it. And so the whole book is premised on a setting in the not too distant future where everything is streaming in real time. And there's a third string quarterback on Las Vegas, not the Raiders, who is tied in with the mob and is providing inside information before the game and, more importantly, during the game in a very low-tech way that lets people betting in real time know, is it a run? Is it a pass? And that is the kind of thing that can happen very easily. Once we get to the point where everyone is able to see exactly what's happening during the game in real time and lock in action before the snap happens, you could have people on the inside providing that information. So that's the premise, and it all goes from there. And it's not the National Football League, but it is professional football. And I fear the league will hate it, but I'd like to think if they really understand the message and the themes, they'll love it, because it might scare some players straight.
Pre-order now on Amazon. The question is, Mike, and this is your last one for you, in terms of the hatred level, the NFL for Big Shield or you for these Steeler uniforms that you have a problem with? What do you? What's more on the hate level? Do you think
it would be impossible for the league to hate Big Shield as much as I despise those uniforms?
Okay,
those are horrible, and they're even worse now on modern equipment with the modern helmets. They were bad enough in '94 when all the helmets looked like little kids' Halloween costumes. They're even worse now. I don't mind the yellow helmet. I hate the whole look.
Mike Florio, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, Mike.
Talk to you in about, 5 months?
No.
About week 6, Mike.
That is a smear and untrue. But thanks for the time, bud. Good to see you.
See you, Rich.
Mike Florio, everybody go get Big Shield right now. Available on pre-order on Amazon.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.